guys can see and hear me, go ahead and give me a 1 in the chat so I know we've got this thing, Mr. Producer, correctly. I believe we have started live. Someone just posted a pretty interesting situation there up above. Looks like some student's got stage 4 cancer. So obviously sending prayers your way, my friend. Hopefully everything works out for the best. But I see we got 1s in the chat, which means we are good to go. That's one of the cool things about the real world is it's a place of positivity. You know, the world's an interesting. There's a lot of hard things happening in the world, and if you're by yourself, it's easy to get defeated and to get kind of sucked into a feeling of helplessness. But when you stand with thousands and thousands of other men at your side, and when you're part of a group, you gain a lot more strength to face difficult things and to move forward with bravery. So it's cool to have everybody here. We got plenty of 1s in the chat, which means I think we are live. I think everyone is dialed in. So yesterday we went over the different ways that you help a business grow by helping them get more attention and by converting that attention into money. We looked at a couple of small examples of how that happens. Today we're going to kind of connect some of the pieces and show you the full picture of what that looks like for a bunch of different kinds of businesses, because it turns out there's about 1 million different ways to get attention and monetize that attention. We're going to look at some of the most common flows, and we're going to look at your job as a copywriter and where you're going to step in and help businesses. So before we dive in, I want to know who did the mission, because yesterday I gave you all a mission. At the end of the call, I said, hey, everyone, go do this quick practice, go try and find some of these things. I saw some people post, some people didn't. If you finished it, put done in the chat. If you didn't finish, put not done in the chat. Just real quick, I want to see who finished it. Who finished it, who didn't? And again, if you just kind of hopped on because you're a level 5 student or whatever, and you didn't end up doing it, that's not too big of a deal. But if you are in the beginning and you are trying to get successful at this game and you have not done it, you made some mistakes. I see a lot of dones. I see a handful of not dones. Listen, for those of you who did it, good job. That's really what it comes down to. Like on today's power call where I said there's a finite amount of work that you need to do in order to be successful. Like it exists. Fate, God knows what it is. You haven't figured it out yet. But there's a finite number of work or finite amount of work that you need to do to be successful and achieve your goals. And yesterday you did part of it. For everyone who said not done, who didn't do it, you are procrastinating the finite amount of work you must do to become successful. So you cannot get good at this stuff. You cannot actually understand the concepts I teach you if you just listen to me. You'll have a theoretical knowledge at best. You need a practical, ingrained knowledge. You need to have experience doing and actually applying these lessons for it to mean anything in your life. Just because you've heard me talk about how to be good at marketing does not mean that it will make you ready to turn around and provide results for clients when it comes time to do so. You have to actually practice. So there's going to be a mission into this one as well. You need to do that one. If you didn't do the one yesterday, congratulations. You'll be able to step into today's mission and actually accomplish a lot of yesterday's mission again. But those of you who did it yesterday, you have the extra reps, and you're going to be set up for success a little bit better. So let's go ahead and dive into today's presentation. We're going to be looking at funnels. Now, funnels are sort of a funny way to describe the systems that you put together as a copywriter to help a business acquire new customers. So there's a lot of different ways, like I mentioned at the beginning, to get attention and then to turn around and monetize that attention. Just Mr. Producer, so we can actually read the text here. But funnels are just sort of a fancy, they're just sort of a fancy way for you to describe all of the whole flow that a person will experience as they are interacting with the marketing materials that a business has. So this is the experience that the end customer has. One of the big issues that beginner copywriters have is there are a lot of people involved in this. There's you're the copywriter, and you partner with a business, and they control the content of the web pages and all the stuff that they put out. But there's also a third party that's involved, and this is actually the most important party that's involved in this whole copywriting game, this whole marketing game, and that is the end customer. They have an experience, they have ideas, they have a way of going about and solving problems and spending their attention and making their decisions. And you really, as a marketer, you have to balance the wants and needs of all three people. Your needs versus the business needs versus the person who's searching. And funnels are a system or a sequence of marketing assets that you put together in order to create an experience for the end customer so that they can find your company, find your product, decide to purchase from you. There's a lot of different variations, and which one you pick is going to determine, or is going to be determined by the buying behavior or the nature of your audience. But your job is to craft these experiences, to make the flow that they experience as they go through all of your social media content, web page, and sales pages, and emails. You want the flow to grab their attention, and you want it to increase and max out all of those levels we talked about on yesterday's training. Is this value worth it for me? Is the value I'm getting worth the cost? Or do I believe in this idea? Do I trust this person? The purpose of creating these funnels, so that for the entire experience of all the pages and the content that you keep those levels to where they need to be. This is your job, and you're going to take ownership for, usually at the end of the day, you're going to take ownership for the entire flow for a company. But many times when you do your projects, you're going to pick just one part of this flow and work on that. And we're going to go look at some specific examples. This is one of those things that if you explain it generally, it doesn't make a lot of sense. Probably some of you are scratching your head trying to understand what this is. But when you see several different examples of it, it's going to become pretty crystal clear what a funnel is and how you're going to show up and help. So, with that being said, let's dive right on in. So, let's look at the first example funnel. Now, I've created some really ugly flow charts here to help you understand this. But this is an example funnel that a business might use to acquire new customers. And this is like a search funnel. So some businesses or some people, when they are trying to solve a problem, let's say they want a chiropractor to do an adjustment for them. They live in Akron, Ohio. They're going to show up. They're going to use a search engine. They might go to Google. For other things, they might go to YouTube if they're searching for information. There's a lot of different types of search engines out there. But they are going to search for information or a solution. They're going to Google a question, or they're going to Google the product that they want to buy, like my Patriot Tomahawk example the other day. They're going to search, and then they're going to click on the best search result. So there's going to be search results that you want your business to stand out. Then they're going to read the page and decide whether or not they want to buy. That is one example of a funnel, and it's sort of a flow. These are different steps in their experience between them finding out about your business or starting to try and solve their problem to deciding to purchase. Now, there's a bunch of miniature pieces along each one of these things that you're going to optimize, but if you wanted to help a business, like a chiropractor in Akron, Ohio, for example, you would want to identify what people are searching for. You want to make sure that your search result looks the best, and you want to make sure the page is the most convincing to get people to come and decide to buy or follow or whatever you want to do. This is sort of the flow. And how good you are doing each of these individual steps, how many of this percentage of this market, the people that are searching, decide to come and buy your product. Let me show you an example of this. So, I actually went and searched for chiropractor, Akron, Ohio. And I see all these different results. There's a whole bunch of different results on this page. So, when they search, that is this part right here. Now, your buyer, we're pretending to be the buyer right now, they would look at all of these different opportunities and try and decide which one to click on. Now, you might click on the first one, but I'm betting that they would click on this one because this is a 475 reviews. Let's say they click on this thing, and they're going to evaluate this. These are sort of micro steps here in this part of the search. So evaluate and say, yeah, that looks interesting. Click this button. Now they're on this page. Oh, their page is broken. They have a bad funnel. Look at that. There's an opportunity. Someone go reach out to the Accident Injury Center of Akron and tell them their thing is broken and get them as a client. Let's pick a different one. So they would say, nope, that is definitely not the best result. They can't even get their web page to work right. Let's go to this first one because that's probably the best one. Look over here. Yeah, that looks all nice. Click on the website. So we've kind of mapped out this part of the funnel. We searched for Akron, Ohio chiropractors. We've decided to click on the best search result. Now we're reading the page. Now, everything on this page you want to optimize, and we'll talk about how to do this later as a copywriter. You want to optimize everything on this page to make people want to buy. Now, these people may or may not have done a good job. They have a little contact button here. Well, let's say I wanted to request an appointment, and I decided that's my CTA. Let's say that this page actually convinced me. Then I would come in here, enter my information, and request it. Or I would just call it, right? That's one example of a search funnel. this chiropractor, the elements of your funnel would be, obviously we can do this in reverse. You have, or rather you would want to make sure that you have a web page, that you have a Google business profile, and that whenever people search for this term over here, your business is one of the top ones that show up, and that this profile is optimized so they think you're the best one. Then you would want to make sure that the actual web page itself is improved, or you could do things here to improve the efficiency so more people that read this page decide to buy. This is an example of a search. Now you as a copywriter, you would show up, and if, let's say you wanted to help a chiropractor in Akron, Ohio, you would identify what people are searching for. You find out a way to get that page to say, okay, this is what people are searching for. This is what their experience is. I'm going to go step in. I'm going to help him optimize this page by changing the title, the picture they use, the descriptions, make sure they're applying the different reviews. You could also come in and make sure that their page converts as well as possible. You can show up and say, listen, this is great and all. Your page is interesting. Let's go back to their homepage. Like, your page is good, but you could really increase their desired outcome if you change the headline here to talk about how they can get pain relief. You could show up as a copywriter and make this more persuasive so that more people would buy. That's an example of a search funnel. And again, this is kind of the experience that the reader has. The different elements that exist in this funnel are is a Google business profile that is a search term, and a web page that convinces people to buy. Those are sort of the two elements in the funnel. And you as a copywriter could help them with both of those by leveraging all the moves I'm going to show you later in the program to get attention better and to actually monetize that attention better. That's one example. We're going to go through examples for a bunch of major types or common types of funnels. And here's a really common one. This is the social media funnel. Now this one is extremely common. So a lot of businesses, and this is more for finance of intent people, is they have a funnel that represents something like this. So a person will be scrolling like an idiot on their phone, and they'll be scrolling through, consuming content brainlessly, and they're going to see some sort of interesting content, a suggested video, something that pops up in their feed. They're going to consume that content. It's going to be interesting. They then click the profile and say, okay, this profile is interesting. They might consume some content. They might decide to follow, but they might just go straight to the link and follow. They're going to follow the brand. They consume valuable content over time. That's going to boost their trust. Make them, they're starting now start sell them on a vision in the future. And eventually, I'll post CTA posts where, hey guys, want to go buy, or hey, they want your value, and then at the very end, they'll sell a course or sell a product on bio, or sell space and buy. In a while, he's got an interesting YouTube channel around fitness and weightlifting. Doing this. I'm going to show you showing up, and I can suggest because I subscribe to you because interesting video editing. But he obviously has these videos. They show up as suggested videos in the search and, like, you know, the suggested part of YouTube. They're very clickbaity, very interesting images here. So if you, let's see, what's one we could do. So we could do this one. This would be one that like would probably attract attention. How to get big arms fast with dumbbells. This is an interesting piece of content. Let's say this shows up in your suggested stuff. You hop over here. You watch some of his videos. All right, today we're blowing up arms. It's interesting because you think it's interesting stuff. You say, okay, where am I at? You say, okay, this interesting content. You say, I like this guy's stuff. You would go to his profile. You watch some of his other videos. You think this is really interesting. You decide to subscribe to his content. So we're kind of at this stage right here. Over time, as he releases videos, you would watch these videos, think that they're interesting. This is fun. You might like this. You might like that. Now, if you go into his bio or at the very end, he'd say, hey, go buy my garage program 2.0, and then boom, it would take you to a very simple page where you could pay to buy one of his programs. A very simple example of scrolling on the feed, seeing interesting content, checking his profile, thinking it's interesting, consuming valuable content. He teaches you cool, interesting things with him. It increases the trust, it increases the belief in the ideas that he's teaching you, and it increases your desire because he's, you know, selling the dream of what you have. And then every so often he hits you with CTA to go buy a product. You go buy the product. That is how Ryan Humison, this dude, and apologies Ryan if I'm butchering your last name because that's what I do, but that's what Ryan does to get customers. Interesting content that is optimized to help this. Now, if you were a copywriter or whoever is running Ryan's marketing, what they do is they plan out content that's going to be very interesting. They say, what do people want to learn about in the fitness world? And they create these attention-grabbing headlines and thumbnails around what people find interesting. Then they make sure that the content, when people actually watch it, is extremely valuable, and he does a bunch of fast cuts, a bunch of little humor stuff to make it really interesting. Someone says, oh, this is a lot of fun, this is hard-hitting, valuable advice, I'm going to use this. They go look at his page, they say, oh, this other stuff is cool, and then they subscribe. Right? So as a copywriter, what you could do is you could show up and plan this. You could plan out images, you could plan out scripts for his YouTube to, again, make it interesting, valuable, something that increases the trust, increases the what he's talking about. You could then, like I said, plan out the sequence of events. And then obviously at the very end of his videos, there's usually a little CTA where he sells his course program and says, hey, go buy my course or program or whatever. You can also be the guy who shows up and changes the way that he does this stuff here. Not to mention, this was written by a copywriter. This whole page was written by a copywriter to get people to decide to purchase his product. So all those different elements, the titles of his videos, the content that he talks about, the sales page that he has here, these are all things that you as a copywriter will help someone try and create so that more people will decide to watch his content, actually check his profile, like his videos enough to follow, decide, get value from him and build relationships, maximize those levels so they want to buy, and then decide to actually go buy the product. You could help them with any part of this. You could just help them with the page, or you might end up helping them with just the content. You would find out what he needs most, and then you should sit down and help him with that. We'll talk about how to do that with this at the end of this week when we get to the how to go out and get a client part. But you have to understand what someone like this is doing to get customers. And that's how a social media funnel typically works. And a lot of people have questions about copywriting. They're like, wait, do I need to go, like, this sounds like a different skill. At the end of the day, planning out this whole thing and planning out what the mental experience needs to be like, that is copywriting. Understanding a market, understanding what they need to see, feel, and experience in order to get from just scrolling to deciding to buy, that is copywriting. Now, all these little micro skills, we can talk about that later, about how to find people inside the real world that can do that for you or for your clients, or how to pick them up if you need to. But at the end of the day, your job as a copywriter is to look at what flow needs to be like. As many people see his content, decide what, the people that and then the people consumes content. And if the people consumes content, you want the most of them to click that link so they go and buy as possible. You optimize every step of this by using all the cool moves I'm going to teach you later on in this sort of experience. Move on to the next one. Paid ads. This is a very simple one. This is another type of funnel that's pretty common. So this is creating content that gets automatically recommended automatically by the algorithm. You can show up and create ads that get prominent placed, and there's two different places to do that. You can do it with search, right? So if we come over here to Akron, Ohio, we run search again. There's usually going to be some, and maybe it's because I have my ad blocker on, there's usually search, there's paid search, there'll be sponsored ads, and they're not showing up now because I'm running this call live. That makes sense. So I'm searching again. Yeah, nothing. No one's paying for ads in Akron, Ohio. Interesting situation. You can pay for search ads over here. You can also have ads that just show up automatically as you're scrolling. So if you're just scrolling on social media, boom, paid ad. Pretty common, right? So you pay to have your ad show up either on their feed where they're scrolling or for a specific search term on like Google or YouTube or something like that. So this is what the experience is like. Ad, the person is scrolling on the feed or they're searching for something. Boom, they see your paid ad, which is a piece of content that either is like a search result or a piece of content, like social media content. They say, that's a cool idea. Click this page, they read the sales page, and they decide to buy. Again, we can do that very quickly here. So scrolling on Instagram like a loser, boom, oh look at this, moon shirt shots. Look at this America stuff. I like America stuff. So you say that's cool. You click on this. You decide to buy, and because 4th of July is coming up, and you look at these products and say which one looks good, which one looks interesting to me. Now this one's more of an e-commerce thing where it's almost all about the design. Personally, I like this one. I'm gonna buy this actually. Only trees. It's pretty legit. It's got a GW on there too. So I think and see we got a little bit off planet and home pot and sure what's interesting about this one. Pay the tip. You know, like this. But you optimize this. You can supposed to figure out what images put. You figure out the content put in here. Ways to make this action. For example, they get all inspired. You stop and read ideas for interesting T-shirts that you right there. They've made it to something you're going to pay attention to. Make a sales page. Once you visit the sales page, they are optimizing a few things on the page. Make more people show up and buy this product. And I will buy this one after the call's over. Looks like a fun one. It's only trees if you lose. So that's an example of a paid ads funnel. And you as a copywriter, like I said, you'd show up, you create and plan out the paid ads. You create and manage and optimize the sales page so that it gets the most attention possible and it convinces the highest number of people to buy. That's an example of a funnel or a way to acquire new customers and convince them to buy. qualified. It's pretty common. Does it make sense for you guys? You guys have probably seen all of this stuff in the past. You guys have seen and experienced funnels. You probably haven't thought about putting them all together and mapping out the whole flow. If this is clicking for you, put a 1 in the chat. If you have questions though, either write the question out or put a question mark in the chat. We will do a Q&A at the very end of this. I'm just kind of blasting through and helping you guys see some examples of what funnels are. That way you can grasp the concept. Again, it's one of those concepts that if you just describe generally, it doesn't always click. It makes a lot more sense when you show up and show you specific options. I see some ones in the chat, which is good. Here's a good question. So how do I know if paid ads are a good idea for the client? That's a good question. So as far as which of these funnel types, I've got a couple more I'm going to show before we wrap this one up and get to the Q&A. As far as which funnel you want to pick for your client, there's two different ways to approach this. Your client is probably, when you start working with a business, they already have a funnel. They already are probably acquiring customers in one particular way. So when you show up and they say, yeah, let's say you show up and you're working with the chiropractor, right? Let's say you partner with a chiropractor in Akron, Ohio. This funnel already exists. They have a website, they have a way for people to book, they have a Google, whatever. It's just not converting at a high percentage. Let's say 1,000 people make that search, and they're only getting 25 people to book a new session with them. They're chiropractic thing a month, right? And they're like, 25 out of 1,000 is a terrible conversion. We want to get more of that. You would show up and take their existing funnel. Let's say you decided to work with this accident center of Akron. Let's say you decide to work with these guys because they've got a problem here. Remember, we clicked the website link here and went to like 404. Now it's working. That's odd. They either fixed it or I clicked on the wrong link. That was interesting before. There we go. Boom. There is a problem here. This has probably cost them. These guys, since they're ranked highly and they have one of the highest number of reviews, this is probably costing them thousands of dollars. This is a problem with their funnel. This is a very obvious problem with their funnel. And this is something you can help them with. But there's a lot of things you could do. You can show up, and if you have an existing one, you can say, okay, we need to help change some of their way this is listed. We need to add some questions and answers. We want to make sure this ranks higher. If you actually go to their webpage, that one's broken. But let's say you notice some things on their webpage that you can change to increase the desire more, or increase the trust, or increase the belief in the idea. All those things that need to happen for client. You would show up simply and say, okay, I want to make sure this page gets everybody that clicks on this page. I want to get, in fact, let's say that right now they're able to get 100 people to click on the page in a day, but only 2 are signing up. You would create new versions of that page for them that would help them get, instead of 2, you want them to get 10, 20, 30% of these people to actually book or sign up for a thing. That's where you step in as a copywriter. So you will oftentimes simply take an existing funnel that they have and improve it because they suck at marketing. Because their page is nice, but it doesn't actually do what it needs to. They don't know how to pull these levers inside of human beings' brain. The other thing you might do is you might add a funnel for them. They might be brand new, or they might be, let's say they have only done paid ads and they want to do organic. They want to build a big social media presence. You might help them launch and be successful on something like YouTube or Instagram. This is very similar across all different social media profile or social media platforms. You might decide to add a better funnel for them. But I'm going to talk about when that needs to happen and how to figure that out. That's a good question, but we're going to cover that probably more depth day after tomorrow. So let's go back to where we were. Let's kind of go through these last few example funnels. We'll hit any of your last questions. We did paid ads. Yeah, let's look at B2B direct sales funnel. I don't have an example of this one pulled up for you guys. Sometimes there are businesses that are, and you guys run into this sometimes, there'll be like a management consulting firm or like an accounting company or a software company sometimes. And you guys as copywriters kind of will use this funnel to get your clients. I'm going to show you a better version of this on Friday, but in the future, you might follow something like this in order to get direct sales in the future. And you'll notice this funnel is completely different from the other types. This is typically the case when there's a small number of businesses that you can be a partner with. There's not like millions and millions of different people. And guys, you guys are going to have access to all of this later. I'm going to share access to all of these funnels later. You guys are going to have access to all this, don't worry. But this is, if you were on the receiving end of this, let's say you're a copywriter and you reach out to, let's say you reach out to Mr. Ryan Humiston. And guys, don't reach out to Ryan. He's obviously got a good dude taking care of his stuff. You don't really need to. But let's say Ryan Humiston, he runs his business. He gets a DM from somebody that says, hey, I can help you increase your conversion rate on your landing page. And he says, oh, that's interesting. Maybe I want to call with this person. Let me check that guy's online presence. So he click the link in your bio or go check and see what your Instagram page looks like or what your web page looks like to see if you're actually legit or not. If he thinks you're legit, he says, sure, let's have a sales call, set up a sales call. You sit down with Ryan, and you and Ryan decide that he needs to change this thing or that thing. If you have a project for him, you pitch it for him, and he buys. This is a funnel. This is you get their attention by sending them an interesting DM. They decide to buy by reading your DM and checking your presence. They book a sales call, or they decide to book a sales call based on that. Once they have the sales call, you go through all the different parts of the sales call. And guys, I'm going to teach you a full framework for doing sales. It makes it really easy. You don't have to do sales. You don't have to be pushy. It's really simple for you guys to get in front of these people and help them and close them on a good project. You do this big sales call. You sell them a big idea that they really like, so you get that first level knocked out of the park. You sell them an idea that makes a lot of sense. Not only is it going to give them a bunch of money, but it makes a lot of sense logically. And I show you how to show up in a way that makes them trust you and believe that you're the guy that's going to be able to do this for them, and then they decide to buy. This is an example B2B sales funnel. And the elements in this would be DM or message you're sending out. That's one thing that you use a copy. So I use this through the example of a copywriter, but let's say you were an accountant agent, somebody, a big company or something. You might see, or you work for a sales leader, you might send an email to some random company saying, hey, we can help you save a bunch of money with payroll expenses. And then they say, okay, let me check your presence. They go look at your LinkedIn page, they look at your business web page, say, these guys sound incredible. They book a sales call, and then you sell them on services, right? That element, let's say you were to help that accounting company with this part of their marketing, you would help craft better messages that their sales can send out. You would change the elements of their online presence to boost trust, and then maybe you would come up with some better offers or ideas to run their sales calls. That's a funnel. It's not the same as one of these funnels. This is kind of a more traditional copywriting funnel. This is a funnel nonetheless, and it's something that you could help people with. Let's take a look at another type of funnel. So almost all of the funnels I've been showing you right now have been front-end funnels. They've been about getting a new customer at the very beginning. But there are other funnels you might put together, or flows you might put together for an existing customer. So, for example, that let's say you are Ryan Humiston. You run you have these videos, but instead of sending people directly to a course, let's say you send them to a free PDF guide about like how to, prep before your workout or whatever. They would go to a landing page and their email address, submit, and then they would go to their email address. They'd find that email where you sent them the link to the PDF, and then they would download the PDF, and that'd be so cool, and they'd be learning all sorts of fun stuff. Well, you continue to send them emails, valuable content, more emails, say, hey, I just released this video, blah, blah, blah. Here's a quick tip. You would send them stuff that makes them, it's kind of similar to a social media funnel. You might send these people, hey, I've got this cool stuff to provide value to continue to boost the trust, boost and sell the dream, and improve their belief in the idea, et cetera, et cetera. And then eventually be like, hey, go buy my course. Go buy my garage training, whatever. It's 30% off. It's time to buy now. So you could also include a sales thing inside of the lead magnet. You could have a soft selling, the valuable stuff, all the different times you get access to the page. But this is another example of a flow that you might put together for a business to help them sell more product by simply getting more attention in the market and then converting that attention to money. And I would show you, again, I'm going to show you guys how to plan out all of these things, how to figure out what the sequence of emails need to be like, what types of moves you can use here, what types of moves you can use there. But again, yeah, landing page for a lead magnet. I have a really ugly version of this. I made this like a bajillion years ago in like 30 minutes to show people what an example of a sales landing page might be like. This is a landing page for a free PDF guide. I actually don't even know if the flow works anymore. But this is something I put together just to show people a very simple example of a landing page. You might sign up for this, get a PDF guide, but how to be a better copywriter. It's one of those things, right? And then you end up on an email list. I'm not selling anything on my email list, but if I was Ryan or someone else, I would then, nurture the email leads. I'd send them valuable stuff, and then I'd turn around and say, hey, buy this course or whatever. But you guys are already in my course, so it's not a problem. So that's an example of a back-end email newsletter. So let's say you show up to a business, and they've got 100,000 people already on their newsletter. You could say, hey, let's put together an email campaign that's going to grab their attention, show them a new problem they're facing, and we're going to, push champagne buttons and present a solution and launch a new product for them. You could put together, they would launch it, they run on the back end. These people have already paid this thing for their products, so they like them. You're able to run this back end thing. Maybe you make them $500. You walk away with $20K, right? This is an example of a funnel or an experience that you could create in order to take people in their market and convince them to buy a product or buy a new product. of these are examples of funnels. There's a million variations and a million little pieces in all of these funnels. For example, if you look at the social media funnel, right? The new content that gets pushed out, there's a bunch of different, like you're constantly making new content. There's a bajillion different things that YouTube might recommend to somebody. There's a bunch of different things, there's a bunch of different elements on the page that will determine whether or not someone follows. Like, for example, the old Ryan, we've got his profile picture, this, we've got the number of people that he follows, we've got these links that he's got shared here, we've got the pinned video, we've got all the thumbnails. There's a bunch of elements here that you can change to get more people to decide to follow. This page that you send them to, there's a million elements here. You change the headline, you change the little video, you might change the price, you might change the CTA. There's a million different things you can change in order to boost this. As a copywriter, you're going to show up, you're going to find out what business or what the businesses that you're working with, how they're currently getting customers, and you're going to make little tweaks to the experience so that more customers will show up, they'll go through the flow, and they'll decide to take the next step. And you do that by understanding human nature, understanding what they're going through, and then planning out the entire experience. On tomorrow's call, I'm going to show you this in action. We're going to go in depth on one funnel, and I'm going to show you all the little engineered steps that somebody has done to make that funnel successful. I'm going to show you how you can replicate that process. You can plan out and improve any part of the funnel or the entire funnel for any business you sit down with. And then on Friday, today's Wednesday, Thursday, we'll talk about that. Friday, I'll show you how to reach out to, find your first client, find out what they need, and get to the first project, and hopefully get paid within a couple of weeks once I show you how to deliver with them starting next week. So, but tomorrow I'm going to show you how to plan out what needs to happen, how to analyze what a successful business is doing, all the little pieces, all the little moves, and then turn around and use that to craft successful funnels for your customers. Now, your mission for everybody who's paying attention is you are going to map out a funnel. So I want you to go find a business online, and it doesn't have to be very complicated. You can go pick a local whatever, search chiropractor in Akron, Ohio. You guys could break down this one if you really wanted to. But you can go look or you can use the funnels. Hey, you can break down Ryan Humston's funnel if you wanted to. Just go find a creator, or you can go scroll around until you find some kind of ridiculous ad somewhere. Go find a business online and just map steps in their funnel. Figure out kind of which one of these maybe it might be a little bit different, but try and figure out how you can map out steps of how they are getting new customers, and then the different sort of steps in their funnel that lead to someone deciding to purchase. So map out the funnel. You can do it on a piece of paper. You can do it on a Google Doc. I leave it up to you guys. You guys are smart people. You can figure out how to map things out. And then as you do so, try and list down any moves you see them using to either grab attention or get people to buy. For example, if you were reviewing this funnel right here, you might say, okay, what moves do I see them using on this ad to get me to pay attention? Oh, they're using this like weird animation with the explosive fireworks. There's a bunch of dynamic movement. That's interesting. There's all these words. I'm trying to read this. There's creative designs. Those are some of the moves they're using here. Or if you were looking at like a sales page, say, okay, well, how does he convince me to buy here? Okay, he's saying it's updated, so that means it's even better than before. Okay, it's cheap, so it's a low cost thing, so he's lowering the cost. No subscription. Okay, so he's lowering the cost again. Oh, look, he's saying 100% money back guarantee and all this stuff. That's supposed to make me trust that he's not trying to scam me. Blah 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 blah. And you can identify as many of the moves as you can. But I want you to map out a funnel and then share it with me inside the chat. So go to Business 101. Either take a picture of what you mapped out. Just say, hey, complete homework assignment. Or if you can write out the things that you noticed, do so inside the chat. This is how you're gonna start doing this all the time. You're gonna start paying attention to how businesses are getting attention and converting that attention over. We already did part of this yesterday. Today I want you to do the full thing for a business, from getting attention to convincing them to buy. Identify all the steps along the way. You guys get good at this. You guys get good at spotting this. You're gonna see all of these variations out in the wild. You're gonna see a million different versions of each of these funnels, and you're gonna see some that work really well and some that don't work very well at all. You're gonna start to spot successful strategies and poor strategies, and that's going to help you when you sit down with your clients be able to bring these ideas to the table, because every good funnel, every good flow that you see out there is sort of like a weapon in your arsenal. If you see it and learn it and see how it works, that's cool. It's like something in your arsenal. You sit down with your client and they're like, hey, I need to do this type of funnel. You're like, oh yeah, well I remember I saw this one guy, Ryan Humston, do this with YouTube in order to get attention. I think we can take the strategy and help you with that. It's like a tool in your tool chest. So I want you guys to go through and do this exercise and tag me in the Business 101 chat. Now, let's let's go ahead and move to questions. I know there's probably a lot of questions about funnels and picking the right one. What about this variation and that variation? So it's time for you guys to ask them now. What questions do you have? And so I see some people laughing about getting homework. Remember today's power call? Do you remember today's power call about the energy cost, about what it takes in order to reach a new level? This is you practicing a skill. Some of you might find a client from this. Like you might stumble across that Akron, Ohio guy. Like, oh, he's got an obvious talk to set up a project, and that'll be your client that you can offer. So some of you are going to get directly to get clients, but everything you learn from this exercise, it's going to become a part of copywriting. It's not just theory that you listen to and know, and just knowing this stuff doesn't help. Just knowing that funnels exist doesn't help too much. You need to be good at doing. So being able to actively break down funnels online, that's a skill. And that's a skill you need to be good at, so that you can provide the best results possible for your clients, so you can get the biggest payments coming into your bank account as possible. This is the kind of homework that leads to money. When I say homework, this is a mission. I like to use the term mission rather than homework. Homework's gay. Homework is for school. Missions are for killers that are out there trying to get something done and achieve a specific result. Let's see what questions you have. Question here, Tam said, should we learn website design, or does the company do that? I've mentioned this before, so I'm going to link to a design mini course. I put together a little mini course to help you guys learn web design if you really need to. At the end of the day, you might end up doing some little part of that. You might be the guy who puts together the web page. Besides planning out the words and the changes, you might be the guy that has to log in and put together the web page. It's pretty easy. Little things like that are pretty easy. Editing a thumbnail image in Canva is pretty easy. We've got a bunch of resources for that outside the real world. We also have students who are already really good at that. And I'm going to be talking about in some later videos how you can go and partner with those students. But if you sit down with a client, and let's say you work with that Akron, Ohio company, and they super need somebody to fix that web page, and you can say, I'll figure it out, and you can figure it out. You go log in. They design web pages and all of the tools that you use to be successful in business now, they design them for idiots. They design them for idiots to be able to make it that easy. We can point you in the right directions. I can show you how to do it if you need to. Most of the time, though, especially as you move further in your career, you won't be the one who does it anymore. They're going to have someone on their team, or you'll have someone on your team that does it, just in the strategy. But you need to pick up something in the meantime. It's pretty easy, and we'll show you what you need to do. So someone's asking for, here's a question. They're like, hey, for the paid ads. They said, this is not exactly related to funnels, but this question popped in my mind when I showed them the one about paid ads. What is the best method to lower the risk for them? Because as far as I understand, they should be the ones paying for them. I'm assuming you're using they and them a lot, which is confusing. That's confusing pronouns. But I think you're trying to say, wait, if I show up to a business and tell them that they need to run ads, isn't that going to be expensive for them? Are they going to want to do it? You have to realize businesses are okay with spending money if they know they're going to make money. So it's less about, hey, I'm kind of scared to ask you to spend money on ads. You're going to ask them to spend a lot of money. You're going to want them to spend a lot of money on ads, and you're going to want them to spend a lot of money with you. You have to understand this. You want to focus more on making sure they believe that you're going to provide them a return on your investment. Now, I have some cool resources inside of the campus. In fact, I'm going to link to one of them. Don't watch this now because you guys aren't ready. You're not ready at this spot. For example, you don't know what you're going to run. If you need to run ads, I have a small testing site that you can use. We're going to be spending access to it, but it's pretty easy. John's always those websites. I don't know. Just maybe on speed, just an ad. It's really easy to do. But really, just pick whatever you want. And if you're really into this, you can use here. We need to figure out. Someone's asking about local outreach. When you do local outreach, I still want you to use the beginner student approach. So your line, I help blank grow their business using effective marketing. That makes you sound like every other loser who's reaching out to them. You show, hey, I'm a marketing student trying to help with this. If you do local outreach, just like this in the DMs, I recommend you, especially if this is your first project, I recommend you treat it like a star project. Hey, I'm a student. I want to do this for basically for free to figure this stuff out. That gives you an advantage. Reaching out the way you're doing doesn't give you an advantage. In fact, you are only playing at a disadvantage. Outside scope of this, we're going to talk about this more on Friday for everybody. But yeah, I don't recommend you do it. When you go to the podcast, let me link to this. So there's a little script I share in this particular particular power call that I just linked to your message, it should help this a little more effectively. I see some interesting questions here. I know I have to review some lessons, but can we combine funnels together and create our own versions of it? Yeah, so you have to understand that when I said that there's a million variations to the funnels, there are a million variations to the funnel. There's a bunch of ways you can change it. You can put on other little mini funnels around that. For example, you might have a social media funnel, like the Ryan Helmsley guy. He's got videos and he directs people to his courses. He might add on an email newsletter campaign, right? He might say, maybe I'm going to get people to go sign up for an email list by giving them a lead magnet, a free gift, a PDF guide, or something like that. I'm going to offer that for free. I'm going to get their email address, and then I'm going to send those people emails to get them to buy my course. That's sort of a new funnel that he's bolted onto his existing one. You can do things like that sometimes. When you're first starting out, though, I recommend you don't try and get super innovative with your funnel type. I recommend you take a look at a proven model. You help your people excel at what they're currently doing before you try and create completely brand new forms of marketing that have never been done before. You want to first get them to a point of parity before you start innovating. We'll talk about that when we talk about picking a specific product or a specific funnel for your client on Friday. But yeah, before you get too crazy mixing things up, you should get good at just doing standard funnel. Someone asked what would be a good funnel to do an e-commerce store. You have to go find good e-commerce platforms in that niche. There's a bunch. Someone asked about market research. Yeah, I mean, definitely I can answer questions on market research. That's a question you ask Jeff Jiu-Jitsu. So go ask me your specific question in detail. Ask questions. Through chat. I'll try and smooth it and help you if it's also have knowledge. All right, let's answer some more questions. More good questions. Yeah, here's one, and this is kind of hi, Professor. How would you define an SEO type project? What would be an SEO project, and what would that entail? Would I have to write a blog post or SEMrush? You're getting into the details there, but typically SEO is when you are optimizing organically for search, for like a search funnel. And performing SEO, we've got a bunch of mini guides for that inside of the course. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and link to one of them. Yeah. Well, that's the angry bus. Where do I have it? I know that there's some in FAQs. I'm just going to link to FAQs. If you go in there, there you can find the stuff that I have about how to carry out an SEO project. And as far as would you write blog posts or this or that, like using different tools, all that's covered in that message. I don't really want to go into the details of performing any of these projects. I'm just showing you how business get customers so you understand it, you can see it. So when you do start with business, you don't sound like an idiot when you're trying to explore how they're going to get customers and using it. So I got a link to that though for you. Next question. Rio says, I have a client. If I have a client phone call later today and I see multiple flaws in their funnel and marketing, should I wait to hear his goals for his business and offer a solution to each part of the funnel and do an entire overhaul, or just focus on the main part of the problem and take it in steps? So most businesses that you partner with are going to have multiple problems, which is good news for you. Most people suck at marketing, and the worse they are at marketing, the more money you're going to make by helping them get better at marketing. So when you see multiple flaws, it's important that when you show up for a sales call, and we're going to talk more about this on Friday when we go into this in depth, it's important that you show up and just be like, hey, you need to do this, and this. People don't like being sold to, they like being helped. So if you show up and ask him about his goals, like you mentioned, hey, tell me about what you're trying to do here. What problems are you running into? I think this is a problem. Like, what have you done trying to fix this? Why? Like, how is this hurting your business? You actually have a conversation with them about it, and they feel like you have understood them, or you've taken the time to understand them. Then when you turn around and say, okay, here's what I recommend we do to solve your problems, they are a million times more receptive to the idea of paying you a bunch of money to do that, right? I do recommend you take it in steps, though. All of their problems that they're facing, there's usually one big problem. It's the biggest, most important problem that they need to solve. And we're going to talk about this on Friday, about the idea of picking a small chunk, starting there, and then doing the rest of the stuff after you crush them on a small project. But yeah, you're going to want to take it in steps. It's important, though, that you sit down and talk with them. Sit down and talk with them, know their goals, their dreams, and desire. Because, again, you're going to be selling them. Remember the 3 levels about will they buy? You need to understand their current pain and frustration so that you can say, hey, let's maximize your current feeling. I'm going to connect all the other things I do to help you solve this specific problem or achieve this goal that you really, really care You need to have that ammunition in your mind so that you can then present them a project to be successful. We'll cover that on Friday when we get into it live, but I need to sit down and talk with them and get to know what they're doing. Let's see here. One other question. What other questions? Someone asked if I'm going to be doing a top layer analysis for the beginners. Yeah, we're going to do that tomorrow. Yeah, we're doing this tomorrow. We do a top layer for the beginners, show them how to break down a funnel. Like I said, identify each of the little Aikido moves that are being done and reverse engineer that so you can plan out and create your own writing projects, no matter if it's the whole funnel, part of the funnel, et cetera, et cetera. So, yeah. All right, guys. Well, I think we hit most of the questions. Any last second questions before we end the call? Go ahead and let me know in the chat. We've got a few more minutes I have blocked off for this, but I think we'll just answer the current questions and call it good. So I'm going to go ahead and refresh, make sure I haven't missed anything. Guys, we're building this brick by brick. Piece by piece, I'm showing you the different elements that go into successful marketing, that go into taking a business and the big giant goal of helping them dramatically increasing their sales and breaking it down and making it as simple as possible. All of these ideas stack on top of each other. And if you don't go out and do the practice missions at the end, you're going to get overwhelmed. I teach you something, you're not going to super understand it because you haven't actually done it. I teach you something else, you're going to kind of understand it, but not completely because you didn't do the practice mission. You skip the mission, then I'm going to be teaching you something tomorrow, and the day after that, that's going to go above your head because you did do the practice. You've got to go and do more. You've got to go out and try and do this for yourself, try and see it for yourself. You're going to have to start to wake up your eyes, your marketing eyes. This is kind of like when Neo wakes up inside of the Matrix, or when he starts to believe that he's the one, he can see the code of the Matrix, he can see how all the code behind how everything works. This is that moment for you. This is where you are going to start to see how all of the marketing, all of the communication, all of the content around you is designed to get your attention and convert your attention into money for someone else. You're going to start to see the code. Once you can see the code and see how it's done, and that'll be even easier over the next couple of days and next week and the week after that when I'm showing you the specific moves. Like, here's how you create attention, or here's how you create curiosity. Here's how you trust. I'm going to show you the moves. Once you see the moves, then you can start to influence the code of the Matrix. Just how like Neo could like fly around and like destroy Agent Smith because he could like manipulate the code of the Matrix. You're going to be able to do that for whatever company you work with, whatever industry you end up focusing on. You will have that superpower, but it all starts with you opening your eyes now, starting to look around at the marketing that is being thrown at you on these different platforms, and trying to understand what it's doing. And I'm going to be in the chat checking your guys' submissions, make sure you guys are figuring it out. If you have more questions, we've got a mass overload number of students asking questions. You update. If you have additional questions, tag me in the Business 101 chat. I'll try to answer as many as I can. I do have a call this afternoon, some opportunities to be talking with some of the captains. But I'll try to get to all of them before I finish my training later today. I want to make sure you guys, especially you new guys, are up to speed. You get the fundamentals. If you guys play your cards right, you guys just joined this last week, pay attention to these calls. You guys can very quickly overtake some of these older guys. I hope that works. And if you're one of the older guys, you better step it up because these young guys are on your heels. I'm pushing out valuable content. You should already know this stuff. New guys, I'm going to try and give you guys an unfair advantage and see if you can catch up to the older guys who've been on the campus for a minute. See if you can even beat them. There are exciting things coming for the copywriting campus. We got another live training tomorrow. Got a lot of fun things in the works. I think Tate is about to go live here in a few minutes. So let's go ahead and end this call. Let's go out. Let's call.